understand people. For Daniel, it seems like I'm unable to feel sympathy sometimes. There was a specific context when he told me that. We were discussing about one of his colleagues who had falsified a document, and we didn't share the same opinion on the subject. Daniel is more of a try to understand person than me, but this time I feel attacked, as if someone has done something wrong, only because I didn't agree with him. When he told me...
Do you know what empathy means, Kate?
This was our first real fight. I'm starting to think about Sally McLean and her possible motivation for being with Luke, who's not really an easy person. I mean, she lived an illusion. Well, I can imagine the story she told her parents about Luke to justify them not being together anymore, but... However, my preoccupations right now is Daniel and having seen that invitation from Matt's son.
Normally, Kate is happy to reunite with Daniel's parents. Considering their different backgrounds, she was quite impressed because they didn't reserve. It was surely a first. This time, she couldn't listen to Professor Crane very well because she was conscious about Daniel being distracted. That didn't stop his mother to talk on and on about his childhood. She sure was proud.
Catherine, did you know that Daniel was the most quiet child who could bring it everywhere, places you couldn't even think of?
Did this really happen?
You wouldn't recall it, dear. You can only recall what you have taken in the first place.
At the age of 2, he had 3 philosophy classes per week. You particularly liked the work of Descartes. Didn't you, son?
Oh, right.
It was also very rewarding. One of the reasons of this is that it benefited from people around it. The brain is amazing, like every other muscle. When you frequently use it, it develops itself more and more.
The brain is not a muscle. It's way more complex than that. Anyway, I'll have the beef and baked potatoes and carrots.
Catherine, I remember when we went to Rome. Daniel was not older than 7. And within a month or so, his Italian was better than mine. I didn't know you spoke Italian, did you?
I don't.
These are just his mother.
Waitress?
Yes, may I take your order?
I'll have the chicken with salad, very fresh, and water with lemon, no ice.
Okay, perfect. Couldn't imagine Daniel's mother in Crow Lake. Even if I tried real hard, it's impossible to picture her, but I had no trouble at all imagining Daniel in the same situation. He is an open man.
Oh, sorry, I'll have chicken with salad, please.
Okay, perfect. And how about you, good sir?
Sick was surprised for me. Everyone okay was one?
Yeah.
Then what happens?
Party experiences are very important in the development of a child. That's why being parent is a crucial job. The child is the father of the man and so on.
I've never quite understood the meaning of that sentence. The child is the father of the man. Did you know the meaning of this?
I think it just means that the characteristic you develop as a child will still stay when you're an adult.
Don't pay attention to him. I'm not denying that there are other influences than parental ones. Teachers are a good example. For instance, in your own personal case, you have done so well, having lost your parents at such a young age. But I'm sure you have had at least one amazing teacher somewhere along the way.
Proud of Matt, the thousands of hours we spent together. I was looking at Daniel, who was still looking in the menu. He seemed absent, unusual from him, but I think I knew what the problem was. The car, Daniel seemed to be recovered. Maybe he just needed a break. They talked a bit about the evening.
Well, you know about the conference in April in Montreal?
Yeah, the one about pollution?
Yeah, well, I'll be able to go because it's my nephew's 18th birthday.
It's completely fine. I mean, you can still get the papers.
Well, they told me I could bring someone if I want to, but I don't know if you'd be bored, so I guess...
I'd love to go there.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea what she was feeling at that moment. She would have liked to be able to tell him the truth, to tell him the reason why she really didn't want him to come.
In a year of bad times, I think that winter must have been one of the worst for Matt. Not the worst that came later, but one of them. To me, he often seemed much more older than Luke. He saw problems more clearly and was more realistic about the chances of solving them. If a problem arose, Matt worked at it until it was solved. The problem we faced that winter were not within his power to solve. Luke losing his job, for instance. I know that worried Matt a lot more than it did Luke. He seemed to have an unshakable faith in that everything would work out alright.
Like what?
I don't know, it just will work out.
How do you know? Come on, Luke, how do you know that everything's gonna work out?
It just will.
Jesus Christ!
What are we going to do about the gift for the Mitchell kids?
What?
The Mitchell sends gifts to Kate and Bo, and we have to send gifts to their kids.
Will they expect presents?
No, but we still have to get them something.
How old are their kids? And what sex?
How can't you know? You've known the Mitchells for like your whole life.
No, I don't notice everyone's kids.
There are three with a pretty small baby.
For God's sake, don't do it on the edge.
I want to try cleaning for a change.
I've always been cleaning behind you.
Dear Aunt Annie, thank you very much for the gifts. I really like it. Bo, Matt, and Luke too. On Christmas, we went to Rev Mitchell, and there was a big turkey. Mrs. Mitchell, Mrs. Pye, Dr. Christopherson gave us some presents. They were very good people. You won't find better. Kate.
Kate, is that you?
Yes,
Well, it could be anybody.
well, it's me.
Guess I have to take your word for it. Do you own any company?
Sure.
Well, let's go then. Are you moving your fingers?
He still jokes around and teases, but I could hear the effort in his voice. Things aren't going well for him and Luke. It is too cold to work at the Pice farm, so they had to find a part-time job. Unfortunately, there were none available. February 11th. Dear Aunt Annie, how are you? I hope you are well. Bo is sick. She has measles. Dr. Christopherson says that she will be fine, but she's really spotty and really crabby. People at school have measles too, but I've already had it. We did about Henry Hudson and the Northwest Passage. His men were really mean. We did about Frank's sons too. If you have 2.5 apples, you have 1 whole apple. And if you have 4.5 apples, you have 2 apples. And if you have 3, you'll have 1.5. Rosie Pye started crying at school. Well, anyways, love, Kate.
Do something about what's going on.
Like what?
I don't know, tell someone. Reverend Mitchell, maybe.
What would we tell them? What do we actually know?
Well, we know that it's getting worse.
Do we?
Well, yeah, I saw Mary walking back from school the other day.
And what did she tell you?
She didn't need to tell me anything. I could feel that something was wrong.
Well, it's his fault.
Whose fault? Laurie's?
Yes, he got hit for it. He should get smart and shut up.
So you think his dad hits him?
Maybe.
I think he hits him too. I think he hits him hard because sometimes he walks funny. That's why I think we should do something about it.
What can we do?
We could tell the Reverend.
And what would it change?
Well, maybe if he talks to Old Man Pye, he'd stop.
And maybe it would get worse.
Well, maybe if he would stop if he knew that the word was going out about him.
We don't know anything about it, okay?
That's your philosophy, Luke. If you don't know anything, we just do nothing.
You can't wear diapers your whole life, Bo. It's disgusting. You had been stinking like a suspect all the time. Oh, I'm so tired of her shit.
Don't cry, Luke.
Luke, that's her first sentence. Don't cry, Luke.
These are the main ones.
What are the main ones?
I don't know. The one who was the best.
I don't remember any.
How about Hickory Dickory Dock?
Say, hickory, dickory duck.
She thinks you flipped.
Say, hickory, dickory duck.
Dicky dicky duck.
Yeah, that's good, Bo. Now say, the mouse ran up the clock.
She's pan.
She's ignoring you. She thinks you're nuts.
The mouse ran up the clock.
Sikra, another one.
Miss Podia the dolly was sick, so she phoned for the doctor to come quick. The doctor came with his bag and his hat and he knocked on the door with a rat-a-tat-tat.
got her. She's hooked.
666, la la la.
Good. Good, listen.
He looked at the dolly and shook his head, and he said, Miss Putty, put her straight to the bed. He wrote out a letter for our Pill, Pill, Pill. I'll be back in the morning with my bill, bill, bill.
Bill, bill, bill.
Good, Bo, good.
Bill from Dr. Christopherson.
What?
For Bo's measles, have you had a bill?
I don't think so.
How much will it be, do you think?
I have no idea.
Yeah, but roughly, he must have made like 4 or 5 visits. It's about to be quite a bit.
Let's worry about it when it arrives. Okay?
666.
Good.
I've got news for you.
Yeah.
I've quit school. And I got a full-time job at the Hudson's Bay.
What are you talking about?
Work. A job, like, to get money.
What the hell are you talking about?
Someone isn't quit today. I've got a job to earn money so we can buy things.
And school? What about school?
I quit?
You know you have exams coming in 2 months.
Yeah, I know, but I did enough to pass anyways, so...
Pass! You need to get a scholarship. You're going to university next year, you know?
I'm not going to university. Listen, what we're doing right now, it's not going to work. Okay, working a part-time job is not going to work. And we might get through it this year, but next year it's going to be rough, and it's not going to work anymore. Let's talk about it later.
Later? No, of course not. We're going to decide right now, because tomorrow you're going back to school.
Well, don't you understand? I already quit.
Well, you can just unquit. You have no reason to get a full-time job right now. At most we have another month, and I'm gonna reserve with Old Man Pie.
That's not an answer, alright? Even if we get that through it this year, like I said earlier, it's not going to work forever. Next year we're going to be stuck.
What? Why are you thinking about that? To get that job, you know? Taking care of our sisters is my job, not your job. Your job is to go to school, get good grades, get a scholarship, and you go to university.
You know they're my sisters too, alright? Maybe I want to help. Maybe I want to take care of my sisters. And I'm not going to just abandon them to you if you can't even get a job.
Matt.
Stay back!
Get up, Matt.
Call the doctor!
Get up, Matt.
Call the doctor!
Matt. And what did she tell you?
She didn't need to tell me anything. I felt that something was wrong.
What do we tell him? What do we actually know?
Well, we know that it's getting worse.
Do it! And what did she tell him?
She didn't need to say anything. I could feel that someone was wrong. Something was wrong. Oh my
God!